Uju had never fought anyone before, not to talk of killing someone. It was the first time she was even holding a gun and pointing it at someone, and it had resulted in a death. Uju became greatly worried because she didn't know how to deal with the situation. Am I dreaming or what? Uju said to herself as she started sweating profusely. I can't believe it. I just killed someone. Hey, Jesus. How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to leave this place with a dead body? I've just increased my problems. Uju said tearfully. How do I hide this man? What if Mother Philo finds out? What if she calls the police? Is this how I'll go to jail? Uju said to herself. She touched the giant man again to be sure he was dead. The man did not move at all. Madam Philo, it will never be well with you for putting me through this kind of thing. If you didn't bring me to this hotel, I wouldn't have killed somebody. Look at me now. I was just trying to protect myself, but look at the problem I've created. Just then, Uju had a knock on the door. It was the hotel waiter. Miss Uju, please open the door. The customer has stayed with you for too long and that is not allowed, the waiter said. His voice increased Uju's fears by 100-fold. My God, how am I going to hide this man now? Uju said. She started panicking, trying to decide how best to handle the situation. Her heart was racing. She bent down and tried to lift the man so she could hide him in one corner of the room, but it was too heavy for her. Uju decided to drag the man on the floor. She pulled him into the bathroom and locked it. She saw blood on the floor. She rushed back into the bathroom and came back with a mop and cleaned the blood from the floor. Miss Uju, can you hear me? Please open the door fast. I'm tired of waiting for you. What's going on in there? That man has overstayed his time. Allow him to go. The waiter's voice came again. Uju finished cleaning, poured some water on her body and calmed herself down. She took a deep breath and rushed to the door to open it. Why are you shouting as if there's a problem? Uju asked the waiter, who quickly entered the room. Where is the man? Is he gone? I've not seen him going. I usually see everyone when they come out of the hotel. Did a gunshot come from here? The waiter asked. He was looking around, trying to see if the man was still there. He's gone, and there was no gunshot. He left a while ago. Must you see every customer that comes out of my room? Uju said calmly and firmly. Why did you take time to open the door? The waiter said. I was bathing now. Can't you see my body? Please, I want to sleep. I've gone through a lot of stress today, Uju said. Alright, get some rest because the weekend is starting tomorrow. We have more customers during the weekend and work starts early in the morning, the waiter said and left. Uju quickly locked the door. She fell on the floor and started weeping. I'm in serious trouble. Uju sat there alone in her room, thinking of what to do. She could not think clearly because she was too tired and exhausted. This man cannot stay here till daybreak. Should I leave the hotel alone or should I carry the man with me? But he's too heavy. I think the best option is to leave the hotel alone. I'll try to disappear from the premises unnoticed, Uju said. She started packing some things in her bag. When she was done, she went back to the bathroom and took one last look at the dead body of the giant man. I'm so sorry for killing you. This was never my intention. I was just protecting myself. Goodbye. I pray your soul finds peace, Uju said as she started leaving. She wiped her tears, opened the door and stepped outside. Everywhere was lit and she could easily be seen. Luckily for Uju, it was late at night when the hotel was not busy. Guests were either in their room enjoying with the ladies assigned to them. Nobody was outside and even the security people at the hotel had all gone to their rooms to sleep. But when she got to the gate, she saw that it was locked. How do I get past the gate now? Uju thought to herself as she looked back apprehensively. She ran to a dark hidden corner and hid behind a van. Let me hide here and think. This fence is too high. I won't be able to climb it, Uju thought to herself. Suddenly, someone tapped Uju from behind. She refused to turn because she didn't know who touched her. She froze in fear. A familiar voice whispered her name. Uju, it's me, Tina. We were together in the bus when we were coming. All of us are hiding behind you and we're trying to escape. We are also looking for a way to run. Uju turned, looking surprised. How did you all come out at the same time? Were you guys kept in the same room? Uju asked. She was surprised because she was not allowed to speak to anyone apart from the waiter. No, we all had different rooms and waiters. I bribed my own to help me inform others who want to escape. I told them the time to come out. He passed the message correctly. Didn't anyone come to your room to inform you? Tina asked. Nobody came to my room. But Sha, that is not important. The important thing is that we are all here now and we have to work together to escape this place, Uju said. Just then, the door of the security house opened and the security man came out with his torchlight. He started searching around because he heard the sound of footsteps. They saw the security man and their fears increased. When the security man was getting close to the place where the girls were hiding, Tina picked a stone and threw it in an opposite direction. The security man turned his flashlight in the direction the stone hit. Immediately, Uju came out and covered the man's face with a piece of cloth. Tina and the other girls held the man's hand, making it difficult for him to fight back even though he tried to struggle. Within a few seconds, the man passed out. They took the key from him and quietly unlocked the gates. The ladies broke into the bus which brought them from Nigeria. Luckily, Uju was a good driver. The bus driver had left the key inside the car and Uju turned on the ignition and the engine revved to life. She engaged the gear and they sped off from Madame Philo's hotel. Uju and the 5 ladies drove out of Madame Philo's hotel with the intention of going back to Nigeria. However, the problem was how to find their way back, because when they were coming to Benin Republic, the bus followed unknown bush paths. We have to move very far away from this area and away from that wicked woman. I'm sure she would want to locate us by morning. I don't know about you guys, but I want to get back to Nigeria as far as possible, Uju said to the other ladies as they were driving away from Madame Philo's hotel. Benin Republic is close to Nigeria and we will get back home very quickly if they follow the express road. However, we may be arrested by security agencies. Also, we don't know if these security agencies know Madame Philo. You know she's a very rich woman. They may be working with her. If they see us, they may catch us and return us to the hotel. But if we decide to follow the bush path, how are we going to find our way? Tina asked her companions. Everyone in the bus was quiet as they thought of a solution to the problem at hand. Meanwhile, Uju was driving as fast as possible. When they reached the junction that connected the road to the expressway, Uju saw a police checkpoint ahead. Oh no, see police oh. Are we going to stop for them? We don't know if they're working for Madame Philo. They will catch us and delay us. No, I'm not going to stop for them. I'm going to scatter the roadblock and pass, Uju said as she stepped on the accelerator and increased the speed. When the policemen saw the speeding van, they all ran and cleared from the road and Uju scattered the roadblock and passed. That's it, girl. Go, we're behind you. Scatter anything that will take us back to that woman's hotel. The ladies at the back seat chorused as they held Uju for her driving prowess. You know when we were coming, nobody stopped us on the road. We passed every police checkpoint without problem. This means the security agencies know Madame Philo. Once they see this vehicle, they will know. This means we must locate the bush path we followed that day. Even though we don't know our way, I believe we should try our luck instead of staying back. Let us find the bush path before daybreak, Uju said to her companions. They were scared, but they had no option than to be brave. I think we are approaching the roundabout where we saw the traffic lights that day. The bush path is close to that roundabout. It should be on the left. I still remember that place, Tina said. After they negotiated the roundabout, they moved a distance of about 1 kilometer before they found the bush path. Uju branched left and they found themselves in a thick forest. We move. Let's be courageous. No one should be afraid. We'll make it to Nigeria, Uju said. They continued to drive deeper and deeper into the bush. As they moved away from the town, the whole atmosphere became darker and scarier. Everywhere in the bush was calm and quiet. The only sound Uju was hearing was that of the bus engine. She was driving as fast as she could. About 40 kilometers into the bush, the bus engine went off. Uju was surprised because the vehicle did not show any sign of distress. It just went off. Wahala, what is the problem now? Uju said. All the ladies in the vehicle came down. Everywhere was dark, quiet and scary. They had to use their phone lights to see. Uju opened the bonnet of the bus to check if there was a problem. She did not see anything that could have caused the car to stop. She then pulled the carburetor cable and saw that the fuel was not dropping again. There's no fuel in the bus anymore, and we are far from town. We are in trouble, Uju said to her co-travelers. Jesus, what are we going to do? The ladies asked in fear. They were stranded in the bush. Before they took the bus and ran away with it, none of them had time to think about fuel. They just wanted to get away from Madame Philo's hotel. Back in the hotel, Madame Philo had been informed that Uju and the other ladies had stolen her bus and were attempting to run away. They won't get far. That van has a tracker. Wherever they are, we will locate and kill them. We must not allow them to get to Nigeria because they will expose us. Bring out the second bus and let us pursue them. Also, bring my laptop and track the bus. Everyone, get ready with your guns. These girls want to try me, but I will show them that I rule this town, Madame Philo said to her boys. Soon, they moved out of the hotel in another bus and started pursuing Uju and the ladies. Time was short. The night was dark and cold. The ladies were scared. They couldn't move forward nor backwards. They were stuck in the middle of nowhere, not knowing what could come next. It was a difficult moment for all of them. They didn't know if they were going to make it out of the forest alive. They needed a miracle. They had never been in this kind of danger before. Look, ladies, we've been through a lot in the past 48 hours and we're able to come this far due to our determination to make it out alive. We would have remained in Madame Philo's hotel selling our bodies, but we are women of dignity and that's why we're running away. I know we made the mistake of following Madame Philo without asking proper questions. We were thinking she was taking us to Italy, not knowing she had other intentions. But there must be something we can do to get out of this place before that woman finds us. I need suggestions. What are we going to do? Uju asked. She had become the leader of the group and they were all looking up to her. I suggest we leave the bus and run. I know we might be slow if we run with our legs, but we really have no option now. We can't go back to town to buy fuel and we can't stay on the bus because Madame Philo will come here to meet us. Let it be that we're moving forward and not stuck at one spot, one of the ladies suggested. If we run with our legs, we will not go far before Madame Philo comes and catches us. She will definitely be coming with another vehicle. I suggest we go into the bush and hide. Early in the morning, we can find a means to go back to town and buy fuel or find another vehicle, another lady said. The bush is too dangerous for us to hide in. There may be some dangerous animals here. If any of us gets bitten by a snake, we will not be able to get treatment and the person might die. I suggest we hide in the car. Madame Philo might still be sleeping. Let us sleep in the car. In the morning, we'll find a way out. We have already traveled a long distance away from the main town. Even if Madame Philo is pursuing us, it will be hard before she gets here. Let's relax and sleep, another lady said, but everyone disagreed with her. Just then, an idea occurred to Uju. Wait a minute. This bus always runs through this bush path, right? That means we must always have an extra store of fuel in the boot. Madame Philo is not foolish to have a bus without an extra gallon of fuel in it. Even that day we were coming, the driver stopped in the middle of the bush to top up the fuel. And true to Uju's words, They found 3 jerrycans of fuel in the boot of the van. "Uju, you're a genius. Your idea was perfect," the ladies said in excitement. They quickly took one of the jerrycans, opened the car tank to fill it. There was a funnel in the van too, so they used it to pour the fuel. The ladies were so happy to have found the fuel. Meanwhile, Madame Philo was already close to the place and she almost caught up with them. "Everyone, jump in fast. Let's go. We need to go," Uju shouted as she saw the headlights of Madame Philo's other bus approaching where they were parked. All the ladies jumped into the van. Uju started and they sped off. "Pursue after them. Chase them down. They cannot be allowed to get out of this bush alive," Madame Philo tells her bus driver. The driver increased the speed of the bus and the race in the forest started. Uju could not be described as an expert driver. Madame Philo's driver, on the other hand, has been driving for many years. He knew this particular bush path so well that he could close his eyes and drive on it. Uju knew it was a matter of life and death, not just for her but for the ladies in the bus, so she was prepared to give it everything it would require to make sure they escaped alive, even though she knew it would be a difficult task. Her heart was beating very fast, but she maintained her composure and continued to drive with a lot of courage. She was able to drive faster than Madame Philo's driver, such that she gave them a lot of gap. Madame Philo became very angry with her driver. "Why are you allowing that lady to drive better than you? You have been a driver on this road for a long time. I told you to overtake her, but this is taking too much time. My friend, drive faster. I'll push you away from that steering and do the driving myself," Madame Philo said. She had totally lost it. She did not want Uju and the ladies to escape. "Do you know what I stand to lose if these girls go back to Nigeria and expose me? There will be a huge consequence if you allow these ladies to escape and enter Nigeria before us," Madame Philo said. The driver felt pressure. He doubled up on his speed. Within a few minutes, his bus got very close to Uju's bus. "Should I jam the bus? I can't overtake them, ma. The road is too narrow and it is impossible to overtake them. But if I jam them, our own bus might tumble because we are on high speed," Madame Philo's driver asked her with a loud voice. He was talking very fast. He was scared. "Don't hit the bus. Do you want all of us to die? Just stay close to them. Everyone, bring out your guns. Start throwing bullets on that bus and scatter everyone on it. I don't want any of them to survive this journey. We can't allow them to make it to Nigeria. We have to stop them, dead or alive," Madame Philo ordered her boys. They obeyed her and started shooting at Uju's bus. "Everyone, please get down. Don't raise up your heads. Madame Philo's boys are shooting at us," Uju shouted at the ladies. She bent her head while managing to keep the bus steady on the road. As the bullets kept running on the bus, Uju was so scared, but there was no option but to keep driving. When she lifted her head a little, she saw another bus coming towards them ahead. "There's a bus coming. I don't know if I can touch the bus. Hold on, ladies. I'm about to enter the bush. Hold on to the seats as tightly as possible," Uju shouted. Meanwhile, Madame Philo's driver did not know there was another bus approaching because Uju made sure she blocked him. Madame Philo's driver was not seeing ahead. It was only Uju that saw the oncoming bus, which was going to Benin Republic. All the 3 buses were on top speed. As soon as Uju got close to the oncoming bus, she branched immediately without warning. The oncoming car passed her with speed and collided with Madame Philo's car. Uju's bus rammed into a tree and stopped in the middle of the forest. Uju temporarily passed out after the bus hit the tree. Her brain was hazy and her head ached. This was because the bus had shaken her terribly before it finally jammed the tree and stopped. She felt confused and tired when she opened her eyes. It was almost daybreak when she regained consciousness. She realized where she was and what had happened. Uju quickly stood up and checked herself. She found no injury on her body, luckily. "All thanks to God. Nothing happened to me despite the accident," Uju said, and she started touching the ladies one after the other. Just like Uju, all of them were terribly shaken by fear, but apart from the intense fear which paralyzed them for a few minutes, everyone was fine. They left the bus and went into hiding. Madame Philo was the only person who survived on her own bus.
And this was because when the bus somersaulted, she was thrown out when the front door opened. She landed on a thick grass which protected her, but everyone else died and the bus was squeezed beyond recognition. I can't allow them escape. I don't know if they died due to the accident, but I must find their boss and confirm it myself. They must not leave this bush alive, Madame Philo said in her heart. The sun had started to shine, but the forest was still a little bit dark due to the shade created by the numerous trees. When she was moving around the bush looking for Uju and the ladies, Madame Philo was shocked to see her husband in the thick forest. "Darling, what are you doing here?" Madame Philo shouted when she came face to face with her husband. Both of them were holding their guns in ready positions. It happened that Madame Philo's husband was bringing another set of ladies to her in Benin Republic. She and her husband ran the business together. Her husband also helped her to recruit ladies. Her husband was in the bus, which Uju dodged and entered the bush. He explained what happened to Madame Philo and told her that the 10 ladies he was bringing to Benin Republic were still alive. "The last ladies I took when I came to Nigeria, they have been giving me a lot of headache and they are trying to escape. As I'm talking to you, they are in this bush. Please, honey, you have to help me look for them. We must not allow them get back to Nigeria or they are going to expose us," Madame Philo said to her husband. They immediately started looking for Uju and the other ladies. After moving far away into the forest, Madame Philo saw one of the ladies. She had come out of their hideout to ease herself because she was pressed. "Stay right there, don't move," Madame Philo shouted at the lady who froze in fear. "Please don't shoot me, I'll show you where they are," the lady pleaded with Madame Philo and her husband. "If you try to run, I will finish you. Just take me to Uju. I want to teach that girl a lesson for trying to outsmart me. I was doing this business before she was born and she cannot stop me," Madame Philo said to the lady while pointing a gun at her. The lady was shaking due to fear. She took Madame Philo and her husband to where all the ladies were hiding. Uju and the ladies shivered when they saw Madame Philo and her husband. On the other hand, Madame Philo and her husband were happy that they found Uju and her companions. "You think you will run away from me? You think you can scatter my business? You can't stop me. What are you going to do now that I found you? Are you going to fly? Will you open the earth and enter inside? What are you going to do now?" Madame Philo asked teasingly. "So, you are the people that have been stressing my wife. You have been making her run around the bush like a mad woman. You people want to behave like heroes, Abi? I will personally teach you a bitter lesson. You think you can run away to Nigeria and expose us? You are going nowhere. This is your final bus stop," Madame Philo's husband said with a mocking voice. He was holding his gun and pointing it directly at the ladies. "Uju, look at you. Your life would have been far better than it is now. You would have become my second in command if you were patient enough. I wanted to make sure you became a great woman. Now, I am going to teach you a lesson. In your next word, you will think twice before trying to outsmart someone like me," Madame Philo said in anger. "You and your husband are evil. You have been busy destroying the lives of young ladies all in the name of helping them. I was foolish enough to think you were going to take me to Italy for a legitimate business, not knowing you were trying to bring me to this Benin Republic to use my body and make money for you. Let me tell you, I'm not afraid of you or your husband. There's nothing you can do to me," Uju said from where she was standing. Madame Philo ordered the ladies out of their hiding place with her gun. Uju was not agitated by Madame Philo's actions. She just followed her quietly. Uju had a plan of how she was going to defeat Madame Philo and her husband. The gun she had collected from the customer at the hotel was still with her. Madame Philo's husband held her violently and dragged her to the ground and made her sit on the grasses. "This is your final bus stop. All of you are going to die today." Madame Philo concentrated on Uju while her husband shifted his attention to the other ladies. Uju was trying to find a way to bring out the gun. She knew that if Madame Philo saw her bringing out the gun, she would shoot her dead without delay. In that moment, Madame Philo was holding a gun to Uju's head. Uju thought of what to do, but nothing came to her head.
Tina saw how helpless the situation was and she decided to intervene, even if it meant sacrificing herself to save the entire group. She wanted to distract the attention of Madame Philo and her husband so that everyone else could run. She knew it was dangerous because she would be shot, but it was better than doing nothing. Without warning, Tina burst out of the group and started running away. Her trick worked because Madame Philo and her husband turned their attention from the rest of the ladies and tried to chase Tina. That was how Uju got the space to pull her gun. She brought out her gun from her pocket and quickly followed Madame Philo from the back as she and her husband were chasing Tina. They had no idea Uju had a gun. "Stop there at once, don't move," Uju shouted to Madame Philo and her husband. They had been shooting at Tina, but they could not get her. They missed her spectacularly and Tina escaped from the scene. This is your last bus stop. After today, you will never be able to destroy the lives of young ladies again. You think you were going to successfully kill us, but we have defeated the two of you, Uju said as she pulled the trigger several times and shot Madame Philo and her husband dead. "Let's go, ladies. We have won the battle. Let's find our way back to Nigeria," Uju shouted. All the girls came out of hiding. They were shedding tears of joy as they felt relieved. When they came out, they saw the bus used by Madame Philo's husband. They saw all the ladies he was taking to Benin Republic. "You guys are very lucky that this accident happened. You would have been taken to where you do not know. Enter the bus, let us go home. We are all free," Uju said to everyone. She mounted the driver's seat and brought all the ladies back to Nigeria. "In my life, I would never travel abroad unless I know exactly where I'm going and why I am going there. In fact, I won't follow anyone that promises to take me abroad," Uju said when they arrived in Nigeria.
If anyone had told me that love would nearly cost me my life, I would have laughed. I believed in loyalty, in building together with my man, and in the idea that when you marry someone, you marry their entire family. So I gave everything, my strength, my youth, my brain, my heart, to a man and his family. What I didn't know was that behind every smile they gave me was a knife waiting for the perfect moment to strike. My name is Amaka. I'm the first of 3 daughters raised by a single mother who ran a roadside canteen in our hometown. Life wasn't easy, but Mama made sure we had enough to eat and clothes to wear, even if they were hand-me-downs. She raised us with values, honesty, hard work, and endurance. I carried those values into every part of my life, especially my marriage. I met Emeka during my NYSC in Enugu. He was charming, tall, with the kind of smile that could melt stress. He owned a small electronics shop then, not much, but enough to survive. We dated for a year and got married in a small, humble ceremony. I was madly in love and I was ready to support his dreams. But it wasn't just Emeka I was marrying, it was his entire family. From the beginning, his mother, Mama Emeka, made it clear that she didn't like me. She called me Ngwanu girl, a subtle suggestion that I was too forward, too ambitious and too educated. His sisters, Amara and Nkechi, always acted like I had stolen their brother from them. They rarely spoke to me directly, and when they did, it was always with passive-aggressive jabs. But I didn't care. I was focused on my husband. I told myself love would soften their hearts. I believed that when they saw how much I was willing to give, they would come around. Emeka had dreams of expanding his shop into a full electronics business. He wanted to start importing items directly from China. I had little money saved from my NYSC and a small inheritance my mother left behind when she passed. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make a difference, so I gave it all to him. We registered the business together. AIM Tech World, Emeka and Amaka, a symbol of unity, of partnership, of dreams built together. At first, things were beautiful. We worked side by side. I handled the records, did the inventory, and even managed the social media pages that brought in new customers. The business grew fast, and within 2 years, we moved from a small shop to a full plaza space. We started wholesaling to other retailers. Emeka's name was now being mentioned among the top young businessmen in the region. But the more we succeeded, the more I felt myself fading into the background. He started traveling more often, business trips to Lagos, to Abuja, to China. He insisted I stayed behind to manage things while he explored bigger deals. I agreed. I trusted him because I thought we were a team. His family, however, became more present in our lives, not as helpers, but as vultures cycling a feast. His sisters started working in the shop, not because they had skills, but because family should be involved. His mother would stop by and take things without paying, sometimes even reselling our electronics in her own small store. When I complained, Emeka brushed it off. Their family, Amaka, let them be part of it. I didn't argue. I had been raised to respect in-laws. I swallowed the discomfort and told myself it was the price of peace. But the cracks were growing and I was too blind, or too hopeful maybe, to see how deep they ran. Then came Adora. She was introduced as a business consultant that Emeka met during one of his Lagos trips. She was slim, flashy, always dressed in expensive designer clothes with long nails and a thick accent that wasn't quite Nigerian or foreign, just fake. She started coming around often, giving advice on branding, marketing, packaging, and Emeka praised her endlessly. You should learn from her, he once said to me. She understands modern business. That night, I cried quietly in our bedroom while he snored beside me. I had built the foundation of his business from the ground up. I had given my all, but suddenly I wasn't enough anymore. The real turning point came one Saturday evening. I had just finished balancing the books for the week when I overheard Emeka arguing on the phone. He was in the balcony, thinking I couldn't hear him, but the window was slightly opened. She's getting suspicious. I'll handle it, just relax. My heart froze. He never mentioned who he was talking to, but deep down I knew. My instinct screamed at me that something was very, very wrong. The next few weeks were a blur of confusion and pain. I started feeling sick, nausea, fatigue, and terrible headaches. At first, I thought it was stress, but then it became worse. I collapsed twice at the shop. I lost weight. My hair started thinning. I visited the hospital and the results were confusing. No clear diagnosis. The doctors suspected food poisoning or maybe an autoimmune issue. But one day, one of our junior staff, Chioma, came to me with tears in her eyes. Auntie Amaka, she said, trembling, please don't tell anyone I told you. But I saw Mama Emeka adding something to your food the other day. She thought I wasn't washing. She said it's herbal powder. But I'm scared for you, Auntie. My hands shook. My legs went weak. I couldn't believe it. My own mother-in-law. That night, I pretended to be asleep on the couch. I watched as Emeka came home with Adora. Yes, Adora. They kissed right there in my living room. She called me a mumu wife and laughed about how the inheritance will soon be theirs. My chest tightened and I held back the scream that wanted to erupt from my throat. I was being poisoned. Not just my food, my trust, my love and loyalty. Everything I had built was being taken away from me by the people I called family. And Emeka, he was no longer my husband, he was my enemy. But I didn't cry that night. For the first time in a long while, I didn't cry. Instead, I began to plan. They wanted to bury me while I was still breathing, but they didn't know I was already digging graves, just not for myself. I stopped eating anything I hadn't prepared with my own hands. I stopped trusting anyone who smiled at me too quickly. I stopped being the Amaka that begged for love and approval. Something inside me broke, and in its place, something stronger grew. But I knew I had to be careful. If I acted too fast, they would tighten their grip. So I wore the same old smile. I walked the same path. I let them believe I was still weak, still sick, and still blind. I was done playing wife. Now I was playing chess. My first move was silence. The kind of silence that makes your enemy overconfident. The poison stopped working once I cooked all my own meals. My strength slowly returned, but I pretended I was still sick. I started showing up late to the shop, holding my waist like it was hurting, walking like I needed support. Emeka barely noticed because he had completely drifted. He spent more time with Adora now, calling her his business angel, the woman who was helping him take the company global. What they didn't know was that I had begun making copies of everything, contracts, business bank statements, customers list, shipment records. I kept them all on a hidden USB drive and emailed backups to myself. One night when Emeka was asleep, I unlocked his phone using the fingerprint he once jokingly registered on my own device. I wasn't even surprised by what I saw anymore. Messages between him and Adora discussing how to transfer full business ownership to her name once I was completely out of the way. But what chilled me to the bone were the voice notes between Emeka and his mother. In one of the voice notes, he said, "Mama, she's getting better. The medicine is not working like before. She must not recover," his mother hissed. "Adora is already pregnant. We need her out of the picture permanently." Pregnant? I paused the audio and sat frozen in bed. My marriage was a lie. My life was in danger. My entire sacrifice has been tossed into the gutters. And they weren't just trying to hurt me. They were planning to erase me. But I wasn't going anywhere. Not yet. The next morning, I packed a small bag and went to my younger sister's house on the mainland under the pretext of needing rest. Uju had always been suspicious of Emeka, but she respected my silence. When she saw me pale and thinner than before, her eyes filled with tears. "I knew something wasn't right," she whispered. "She don't look like the sister I know. What is going on?" I told her everything, every dirty detail, the poisoning, the betrayal, the pregnancy, the plans to steal the business. Uju didn't cry. She grabbed her phone and started typing. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Calling my friend, the lawyer. It's time to play their game." With Uju's help, I filed for an urgent business investigation and ownership freeze using the proof I had saved. But we didn't do it publicly. We worked with a quiet, determined female lawyer who had once gone through a similar betrayal. Her name was Barrister Ifeoma and she was fire in human form. She helped me transfer the company's core legal documents, including registration and import licenses, to my name alone, using the silent clause Emeka and I had agreed to during setup. Since I had invested more and handled daily operations, the law gave me advantage. We also flagged the business bank account and blocked large transfers until the dispute was settled. Then we waited. The next week, I returned home with 2 bags of groceries and a fake kindness in my voice. "Good evening, Mama," I said, smiling at my mother-in-law as she sat in the living room watching a soap opera. She blinked at me in surprise. You are looking strong." "Yes, so Mama, God is good," I said. "I've been praying. Maybe you were right, Mama. It's a spiritual sickness, but I'm better now." She didn't know whether to be happy or scared. I could feel it in the way her eyes darted away from mine. She didn't trust my smile anymore, and that was exactly what I wanted. Later that night, Emeka came home unusually cheerful. He brought takeout and even kissed my forehead. "We need to talk. I know things haven't been perfect between us. We need to talk. I know things haven't been perfect between us, but I want to fix things. I've been under a lot of pressure." I just nodded. He was sweating, unsure. The business account had been flagged that morning. His ATM card stopped working. I'm sure Adora would have started asking questions, and they didn't know I was already 10 steps ahead. "I want us to go away together," he continued. "Just for a weekend, to reconnect." "A weekend getaway?" I asked. "After everything?" I smiled softly and touched his hand. "That would be lovely, Emeka." But I didn't go anywhere with him. I simply packed my bags that night and left with the original business documents, the USB drive, and my wedding ring. I left it on the dining table like a statement, and by morning I was gone. And that is when they panicked. Calls started flooding in. His sisters, his mother, Emeka, even Adora, all of them trying to reach me, but I had blocked their numbers. I was no longer the Amaka they could manipulate. When I finally answered one unknown number, it was Emeka. "You thief!" he barked. "Where are you? What have you done to the business?" I spoke calmly. "You mean the business I built? The one your mother tried to poison me over? Or the one you were planning to hand over to your side chick?" He stuttered. You have no right." "I have every right, Emeka. I was the one who signed the supplier contract. I was the one listed as primary director. You never cared enough to check. You were too busy chasing shadows." He was silent for a moment, and then he said something that surprised me. "She lost the baby."
For a brief second, I said nothing. Good, I replied coldly. Now all three of you knows what it feels like to lose something. Then I ended the call. The next few days were chaos. News spread quickly that M-Arm Tech World has entered a legal freeze. Suppliers were instructed to only deal with me. Customers were told to call my direct number. Emeka showed up at the shop, shouting and asking to be let in, but the new security hired through a private firm blocked him. Adora tried to open her own store nearby, but nobody took her seriously. Her reputation was stained. Apparently, she had done something similar to another man in Port Harcourt before relocating to Lagos. The internet never forgot. A former associate exposed her scam story online. Emeka's sister tried to plead with me, but I refused to meet them. Emeka's mother, however, crossed the line. She came to my sister's house with a crowd, claiming I had bewitched her son and stolen their inheritance. That day, I did something I had never done before. I recorded everything, her shouting, her insults, her threats, and I posted the clip online and tagged the business page. Meet the woman who tried to kill me so she could hand my business to her son's mistress. Within hours, the video went viral. Customers began sending me messages of support. Survivors of in-law abuse opened up in the comments. Women who had lost everything to marriage and betrayal started following my page. I didn't just survive, I became a symbol of taking your power back. But I wasn't done. I launched a new campaign, Built, Not Borrowed. A mentorship program for young women trying to start businesses on their own without relying on anyone who could later claim they met you. I started teaching classes both online and offline. I shared my story not as a victim but as a warrior who learned the hard way. Then one morning my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. I clicked on it. I'm sorry, Amaka. Please forgive me. I lost everything. I was stupid. I miss you, Emeka. I looked at the message for a long time and I smiled, but I didn't reply. I didn't reply Emeka's message that day, nor the next day either. In fact, I never replied at all. His words of "I'm sorry, I miss you, I lost everything" meant nothing to me anymore. It was too late. The man who once held my heart in his hands had crushed it, spat on it and tried to replace me like I was some disposable help. Now that the house of cards had come crashing down, he wanted Missy, but I wasn't that woman anymore. I was done being the builder of broken men. That same week, my mentorship group hit over 15,000 members across the country. Women were sharing their own stories of betrayal, sacrifice and silence. One woman shared how her husband convinced her to sell her father's land to support his car business, only to turn around and marry his secretary. Another said her in-laws kicked her out of her home after her husband died, even though she had paid most of the mortgage. My story had become their story and our voices were growing louder. I finally had purpose, real, raw and meaningful. But life wasn't done testing me yet. One Friday afternoon, as I was leaving a conference center in Abuja after speaking to a group of women entrepreneurs, I saw a familiar figure leaning on a car, Emeka. He looked like a shadow of himself, thinner, with sunken eyes, shirt slightly wrinkled. Not the confident, flashy man who once believed he could have both a wife and a mistress without consequences. Now he looks like someone who had stared into a mirror and finally seen the monster looking back. Amaka, he said, walking towards me slowly. I kept walking towards my car until he blocked my path. Please, he said, can we just talk? I crossed my arms, calm and composed. We've said all we needed to say, Emeka. What more do you want? I just need you to understand that I made a mistake, he said. A big one. Adora was using me. She was never pregnant. It was all fake. She drained my account and disappeared. I haven't heard from her in months. I almost laughed, but I didn't. He continued. I lost everything. The shop, the cars, my name. Nobody wants to do business with me anymore. My mother cries every night and my sisters are blaming me. Everyone turned their backs. I looked him dead in the eye and asked him one question that had haunted me in silence. Why? He swallowed. I don't know. Maybe pride. Maybe I thought you'd always be there, no matter what I did. You were so strong, so capable. I guess I thought I could get away with it. And you tried to poison me? I snapped, my voice rising. You brought a woman into our home, planned to steal everything I built with my bare hands and give it to her. And now, because she turned out to be a fraud too, you want pity? When you were also a fraud yourself. He fell silent. Good. I took a step closer and I said to him, let me tell you something, Emeka. You didn't lose me when Adora came. You lost me the day you stopped seeing me as a human being. The day you let your family treat me like a rag and you stood by watching. The day you made me feel like a stranger in my own business. That was when I left, even if I hadn't packed my bags yet. I walked past him without looking back. That evening, I got a call from my lawyer, Barrister Ifeoma. There's something you need to know, she said. Emeka filed for a settlement. A what? He's trying to claim compensation for being removed from the business. I almost dropped my phone. He's mad, I said. He helped plan my murder. Now he wants a payout. Ifeoma chuckled. Don't worry, she said. I've got everything we need to bury this in court. But you might want to show up, Let the world see you, strong, unbothered, and standing tall. And so I did. I showed up. The courtroom was packed. News of the case had spread, and everyone wanted to see the woman who turned betrayal into power, and the man who lost everything because of greed. Emeka stood with his lawyer, trying to paint a picture of unfair removal from a jointly owned business. He even tried to show fake receipts of his personal investments, which were all torn apart by Ifeoma during cross-examination. Then came the moment of truth. We played the recordings, his voice, his mother's, their plans, the poison, the pregnancy lies, the betrayal. The courtroom was totally silent. The judge, an elderly woman with eyes that saw through lies, shook her head. What kind of husband allows such evil to happen under his roof and then has the audacity to demand compensation, she asked. She ruled in my favor again. Not only was his claim dismissed, but the court also ordered him to pay damages for emotional distress and attempted fraud. He didn't have the money, of course. He left the courtroom with a dog with its tail between its legs. Justice never tasted so sweet. Months passed. My new electronics company, Amatech Global, officially launched with a new partner, a female investor who had followed my storyline. We opened our first Lagos branch and began supplying other female-owned shops across West Africa. Business was booming again, but this time on my own terms. I visited my mother's grave one morning, carrying a small basket of fresh flowers. I cleaned her tombstone and knelt beside it. I finally did it, Mama, I whispered. I'm no longer the girl begging for love. I'm the woman you raised me to be, strong, wise, and unbreakable. The wind blew gently through the trees, and I knew she was proud of me. Later that year, I was invited to speak on a TV panel titled Women Who Rose from Betrayal. After the show, a young woman from the audience approached me with tears in her eyes. I was engaged to a man who made me invest in his poultry business, she said. A week before our wedding, he disappeared with everything. I thought my life was over. I took her hands in mine and I said to her, your life isn't over, it's just beginning. Sometimes God allows a storm to show us the truth, and when we survive it, we don't go back to who we were. We become something better. One night, as I scrolled through emails before bed, I noticed a message from a familiar name, Adora O. Curiously, I opened it. Amaka, you don't know me personally and maybe you hate me, but I want to say thank you. Your strength exposed the lies I've lived with. I was raised to believe being a side chick to a rich man was power, but you showed me that real power is building something for yourself. I'm in therapy now. I'm learning. I just wanted you to know you changed my life. Adora. I sat in silence for a long moment. No reply was needed. Sometimes your victory isn't in seeing your enemies fall. It's in watching yourself rise so high that even the ones who hurt you start questioning their own lives. The moral lessons that we learn from Amaka's journey is to never lose yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. Being a wife or a partner doesn't mean becoming a slave. Silence is power when used wisely. Let your revenge be your growth. Family is not always love. You need to protect your peace. A betrayal doesn't end your life. It just starts a better one. Thank you for watching this story. Please share your thoughts on what you've learned from the story in the comments box. Don't forget to like and share with your loved ones. Until I bring you another wonderful story, stay tuned.